Welcome to the special business meeting of the District of Squamish for October 23rd. Halfan Squalum Quees Tilaktamat Classical Homish, Waomeo. Welcome to the traditional territory of the Squamish Nation. I've said that many, many times over the last 4 years, and I hope I've done it justice. There's an agenda in front of council. I'm hoping that we just amend the agenda order slightly to do the staff reports and bylaws first, because I think that'll take 5 minutes, and then we can get right into the more ceremonial part of the meeting. With that in mind, I'm looking for a motion for council to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Pryor, seconded by Councillor Race. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Just so everybody knows, I'll just have current council put their hands up. And we just had a committee meeting that included our newly elected council, which includes a couple incumbents, but maybe they'll just put their hands up just so they're sitting at the table here, although technically they're not voting yet.
Pay attention.
But congratulations. I'm glad to see the tone of the next council is already getting going. But congratulations to everyone who ran, and congratulations to everyone who was successful in their campaigns. Moving on, we have staff reports. Our first item is a tender award for the Squamish River Dike Upper Judd Slough, and Mr. Ralston.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is David Rolston. I'm Manager of Municipal Infrastructure for the district. The purpose of today's report is to obtain Council's authorization to accept the tender from Whistler Excavations for the Squamish River Dike upgrade. Some quick background is the Squamish River Dike. This project is adjacent to the Upper Judd Slough. Or Jimmy Slough. It's been identified as the highest priority dike upgrade in our integrated flood hazard management plan. And the project will entail upgrading about 1 kilometer of dike between the Aquix Reserve and Wewicum Reserve. The project is funded by the Gas Tax Strategic Priorities Fund. The district was successful with securing a $3.9 million grant for the project. We've secured nearly all permits for the project. We're still awaiting approval from the Provincial Inspector of Dikes, as well as from the Squamish Nation to access the site through the Aquix Reserve. Squamish Nation are actively reviewing, and their staff expect to provide a report to the district on November 5th. So the district issued this through BC Bid. It was a public procurement process. We received 3 bids. Whistler Excavation was the low bidder, and they were compliant. So we're recommending award to them, subject to receiving approvals from the Provincial Inspector of Dikes and Squamish Nation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Councillor Pryor.
Well, I'm super proud of that $3.9 million grant. So we got that because we were prepared for it. I just wanted to throw that out there so everyone can, $3.9 million grant. Thank you.
Good job. Any other questions? I don't see any hands. I'm looking for a motion. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Chappelle, that we approve the tender to Whistler Excavation Limited and the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to execute the agreement. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. I'll see if you guys are putting your hands up and trying to confuse me. No? Okay, you're good. Next up, we have a number of bylaws that have actually gone through 3 readings. Just of note, the soil bylaw has to get ministerial approval, so that will come to a future council meeting. But the trees bylaw is in front of council. First up, we have item A1, District of Squamish Advisory Design Panel bylaw, that it be adopted. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Race. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. District of Squamish Subdivision and Development Control Bylaw, number 2639, 2018. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Chappelle. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. District of Squamish Tree Management Bylaw, number 2640, 2018. Move adoption. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. District of Squamish Environmental Reserve Bylaw number 2642, 2018 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Pryor. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. District of Squamish Fees and Charges Bylaw number 2012, 2007 Amendment Bylaw Tree Management number 2644, 2018 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Pryor. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. District of Squamish Municipal Ticketing Information Bylaw 1832, 2004 Amendment Bylaw Trees Management Number 2646, 2018 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Pryor. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. And finally, the District of Squamish Notice Enforcement Bylaw Number 2418, 2015 Amendment Bylaw Trees Management Number 2648, 2018 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Pryor. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. That concludes the business portion of this meeting. Yay! Next up, we have a very special ceremony we'd like to go through. One of the few things that municipalities can do to recognize outstanding achievement or a lifetime of good works and contribution to community is the Freedom of the Municipality Award. This goes back to ancient days when they used to call it the key to the city, and all trusted peoples or distinguished guests actually literally received a key to the gate of these fortified cities. Today, really it is, and there's ironically one specific thing is that no matter where you live, you get to vote in the District of Squamish as a recipient of this award. I'm looking at our 4 honorees today. I know none of you are going anywhere, so you'll be able to vote no matter what. But really this is about creating it's a very symbolic gesture to honor your lifelong contribution to our community. Maybe I'll start off with Mr. Frosloff, Tor. Tor, as you know, came here in the early 70s with a vision and a dream of making an art gallery in the woods. He had a long journey to get himself to Brackendale. But in the 7 years that he's been in the area, he has really been the driving force behind art, culture, and environment in our community. As you know, Tor started the Brackendale Art Gallery and Tea House back in 73, 74, I think it opened its doors. Tor was a council member, an alderman in the 70s for a term, and was tasked by Mayor Brennan to lead the charge on the Brennan Park and Centennial Fields initiative. That was his portfolio. And so he was formative in making that happen. He and Lefty Goldsmith were crusaders in establishing the Brackendale Eagles Reserve and subsequently the Brackendale Eagles Provincial Park. He, of course, was the founder of the annual Eagle Festival and has hosted everything from Between Shifts and the House Sound Players to the House Sound Performing Arts to concerts by some of BC's most distinguished musicians over the years, some of BC's most ardent environmentalists, including David Suzuki and many, many others, and some of, obviously, BC's most prominent artists, including Robert Bateman. The list goes on and on and on. I certainly can't imagine our community without his influence and his passion and his vision, and certainly I can't imagine my life without his friendship. These awards are unanimous votes of council, and this was all 4 recipients was a very, very easy decision of council, very intuitive, and we're all very, very proud to firstly bestow the Freedom of the Municipality to Tor Frosloff. Perhaps before we give Tor the floor, because you never know who may get it after that, I would like to invite council to say a few words if they'd like, and if there's anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this. If there's anyone else who would like to speak to Tor's contribution to the community, please just put your hand up and I'll pass you a microphone, and we just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. Maybe I'll first go to council. Maybe we'll go to Doug because he's been here forever. And I know a lot of his friends were involved in the House Sound Players, and I don't think they ever got Doug to go in any plays back in the 70s. But Councillor Race, do you want to maybe speak to this, and I'll go to Councillor Pryor next.
Thank you, and I'd be delighted because I have lived here for a while now, and the Brackendale Art Gallery, I think, was one of the first institutions that I started to go to, and I can remember the first time I was there, sitting in the front row. There was a great band, and I forget what it was, playing, and there I was sitting in a nice, comfortable chair with a glass of wine in my hand, and I thought, boy, this is really civilized. You know, this is a great setting. And it has continued to be so over the years, and has, as Patty said, the mayor said it, great artists, great culture. Tor and I can remember sitting having lunch with him. Harley and I, the person I started practicing law with, used to have lunch with Tor and a couple of other longshoremen back in the day, and we'd meet every noon hour down in a restaurant in Cleveland Avenue and swap stories and lies and whatever. And it goes back. And Tor, well done. You've done a great thing for our community.
Thank you. Councillor Pryor?
Yeah, thank you, Thor. I just want to make sure I get a thank you in there, and I see you got a nice trophy to hang, and I don't know if you're going to be able to find a spot in that gallery to hang it. So thanks, Thor.
Councillor Chappelle?
Thanks, Tor. I was married at the Brackendale Art Gallery. I have so many memories of that place being the cultural center of Squamish, because basically it's our performing arts space. It's a place where people can go and express themselves and meet friends, and it's always been an amazing art gallery. And we chose to get married there. Actually, the mayor married us there.
Not technically.
Not technically, yes, but so it will always be a part of my past as well. And your contribution to this community has been immense, and I have deep gratitude to you for that. Thank you.
Councillor Elliott?
So you don't have to live here too long before you realize that you need to go to the Brackendale Art Gallery. Tor, you made me feel welcome right from the beginning. And when you come to Squamish and get elected to council and you've only been here a few years, you need to find the people in the community that can connect you with its history and with its past. And that's you. And one of my favorite photos was one that someone captured spontaneously, and we were actually walking down Cleveland Avenue at a pipeline protest and having a chat. But you've been a great supporter, and I look forward to continuing that relationship as I serve as mayor, and finding that fun, safe space to find company and community and entertainment. So thank you for everything.
Is there anyone else who wants to say a few words? Nice words. They don't all have to be nice. They don't all have to be nice.
Yeah, I can think of the past when you get
Right up.
right up. Okay, I can think of the past when you first opened your art gallery, and I can remember how you helped one of my sons get their start in their art, and that was Ricari Colocton. You remember him, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
I think Halaktin may be in the room and may want to say a few words.
on behalf, not just myself, but a lot of our First Nations here in Squamish and some from North Van, they all raise your hands. Thank you for the opportunity to be also in your gallery, and you always made sure that we're there. So OCM, and congratulations. Hoi.
I feel like, what's the New Brunswick?
Thank you, Tor. One of the many wise decisions you made through your time is you established a Brackendale Art Gallery Society that is responsible for making sure that the traditions of the gallery keep on going, and they have kept on going for the last 45 years. And we hope that it's going to continue to go and continue your traditions for many, many more years in the future. So the Brackendale Art Gallery Society continues to be strong, and we are leading a movement now which will be gaining strength, we hope, called Save the Bag, and we hope that it will last for many, many years into the future. And we honor you very much. Thank you, Tor.
It wasn't all sweetness and light, was it, with this cantankerous human being? But it was honestly fabulous. And I just wanted to remind people that the Eagle Count happened thanks to Tor and went on for year after year, and it was a great coming together of the community. The Environment Society has been supported by Tor. All the different environmental meetings and complimentary to be able to use that space. He has been a wonderful resource for a lot of people in the community in all kinds of different areas, the arts, the environment, and as I say, it wouldn't have been Squamish without your cantankerousness, right? Yeah. So thank you very much, Tor. You rock.
Before we go to Tor, anyone else?
Can I use this one?
Yeah, you can.
Hey Tor, I'm talking about you behind your back. So, I had the pleasure of growing up in Brackendale under the rule of the Emperor of Brackendale here, Tor, and I can't think of a better example of leadership and community that you've instilled not just upon me, but upon all of us that have grown up in Squamish and specifically in Brackendale. And I know there's a whole generation that doesn't know Squamish without the bag and without Tor at the helm. So thank you very much for setting that example and showing us all how to lead and unite a community. And it's an honor to be here today as my first time. Thank you.
Doherty? No? Nice things only.
Well, thank you very much. I'm incredible to see all these people here. I have a lot of people to thank, but I can't begin to mention y'all. But I can begin to mention Doherty, who has been with me for 32 years in thick and thin, and there was a lot of thin happening. And last but not least, Patty, you've always been there. I'm glad you're still here. Thank you very much.
You need to mention Pat.
What? Oh, Pat. I didn't know whether she was going to be here or not. Well, Pat is like, she's been with us for 32 years. Every weekend on Saturday, at 12 o'clock, she turned the key, she's right on time, and you could always depend on her. You're an incredible help, Pat. And when you quit, so do I.
nextly, council very unanimously wanted to, I've got a special mic. Yeah. Very much wanted to honor Gwen, Bob, and Shirley. The journey that Squamish as a community is going through with regard to truth and reconciliation was really started and founded in the work that you guys have done in our community in the last couple of years. In the schools, with our library, in our council chambers. The courage that you guys have shown in sharing your stories about residential school, the insights you have shared in terms of what went wrong, what needs to be reconciled, what needs to be changed, and how we get there in a very respectful way has been an amazing thing to witness. I know all of council shares in that. We want to thank you for your courage. We want to honor you for bringing your learnings to the entire community and helping to move our community forward in a very positive manner. Without the three of you on this journey, I don't think we would be on this continuum very much at all. So I lift my hands to you. I honor you. I know council does, and the entire community wants to show its appreciation for not only the work that you've done on truth and reconciliation, but really your life's work that you've done within the Squamish Nation community and within the greater Squamish area for many, many decades. So with that, I would like to bestow the freedom of the municipality on Gwen Harry, Bob Baker, and Shirley Toma. Perhaps I will invite Christine and Swasia. I know they want to do a song honoring the elders and their work and their life's commitment to making a better community. With that, Christine, do you want to start it off?
Good afternoon. I just wanted to mention the three elders here and all the work and the commitment they have for not only this council but also our community at large. They've been working with our education and going into the schools and sharing their stories, really hard stories. And I commend them for all of the, the strength they have with that. And also creating, I know Joy and her staff have created a curriculum around residential school. And I know they've talked to children as young as what grade, Joy? Kindergarten, just the little ones. And I really have to say, my parents, my dad and my mother here, they had, in order for them to share their story, they had to heal. And they healed, I do believe, about 30 years ago as a group of elders that came together and started working and talking about what happened to them in Indian residential school. Because that was not shared with me when I was growing up in my parents' house. They never said anything until later on. And then I guess one of the things that I really would like to say is their stories basically healed me in my journey. I stopped blaming, because that's what happens, in our community when we talk about what happened on the reserves and what happened at the schools and what happened to our family, and why we were so broken up. And now, with these three elders here sharing their story and having our children and having our teens and having our adults really listen to their story and click and those clicking sounds in the brain, and then they stop blaming
and they actually start healing. And that's what these three have done in the last 30 years in our community. And they shared their stories, not only here with this district, but also I brought them to Gibson's. And I know years ago they went across Canada. They were in Ottawa. And, you know, they've really, really worked hard for our people, not just Squamish Nation, but our people in general. And they're continually in the schools, talking to our children, talking to who anybody wants to listen. And I know Shirley and Gwen are still on the education committee, so they're involved all the time. And I think that's, I really commend that. And, you know, they're not young. You know, their health is deteriorating, but you know what? They're up and they're going, and they're talking and they're sharing. And that's what we love about them. I don't know what else to say other than I commend the three, and they will continue to share their stories. They will continue to listen to people who want to share their story, because we still, you know, our last residential school didn't close down until recently, you know, and there's some younger people in there who are hurting, and these three sit down with them and talk to them. You know, it's okay to feel whatever. So I really, I'm very happy for these three and for the elders here today who are here and the families, you know, because the families are the ones that, you know, hold them up as well. And it's nice to see the grandchildren here for Auntie as well. So I don't know if Dale, Chief, Siam, you want to share a few words?
Yes, Dale wants to share a few words.
2 minutes.
I always say that Ma's not getting old, she's just put on hold. Every day, everyone goes up and they always say that she never changes, you know, after all the years, and smart, you know, as sharp as a whip too as well, you know, and certainly with Uncle Bob and Shirley, they're, you know, recognizing their time, their dedication, and giving thanks, you know, for the past and present council, you know, for your guys' time and dedication and helping recognizing our elders in this community. Just wanted to reflect on Ma. She was born in 1931 in Alert Bay, and same with Uncle Bob. They lived up here in Squamish, and then he went to residential school. But Ma was up there in St. Michael's residential school in Alert Bay, and then after residential school, she came down with tuberculosis through the residential school, and went to Kokalitsa Hospital out in Chilliwack, and she spent a lot of time down there in the hospital, and she got a job. She got a job in there. Then afterwards, she went to Capilano, and then she ended up moving up to Squamish here, where she worked at the old Squamish General Hospital for many years. And you know, and also during that time, she went into her with the education committee. There was May Harris and Shirley Toman and Ma and many other elders that have passed and gone that went up and helped started the education committee and started the old Totem Nursery School. And you know, when we were at the all candidates meeting, Rick McKinney, he came over and he showed a picture when he was a young fella there going to one of the first ones going to the Totem Nursery School. I was one of the first to go to Totem Nursery School in '64. So, no, I was born in '64, '67. But I just wanted to share that. So, you know, when they started the Totem Nursery School, and then after that, she used to ride around the bunny bus. They always called it the bunny bus around Squamish. And they didn't only bring in the Squamish Nation kids, but also the kids from the community. And many of them came back and they always say, I went to that Totem Nursery School. And it's still there. It's still there and it's still carrying on. And you know, I just wanted to go and say too as well with Ma, she put 12 years into her time, dedication, commitment, the miles she traveled for the people, and she was on council for the Squamish Nation. And she did a lot of work for that, for the communities. And she never ever forgot about her community. She even went up and, you know, always went up and always said, you know, we have to go up and set up that relationship. Back in the 90s when they had dealing with the residential school, well, they were involved in that in the first beginning. Bob, Shirley, and Ma, and the others that have passed and gone. But they went up there and did their, back in June 11th when the federal government went up and did their apology to all the residential school survivors. I went back there and I witnessed it. I didn't want to go. I said to them, but they made me go. So I went back east, and then, you know, I got to tell you one thing. Our national chief at the federal level didn't even recognize our elders. They told them, they said, you could go watch the residential school apology in the hotel. And we were so angry about that. And we went up and I talked to our member of parliament. It was Blair Wilson at that time, Don Bell in North Vancouver. And they were the ones that went up and got us into the official gallery. It wasn't our national chief. It was our member of parliament from this community. And, you know, and certainly, you know, I seen it. I seen anger in there. I seen frustration, and I seen tears when I witnessed that apology. Some accepted it, some didn't. Some came back, and they came back, and they went and told the story. I just wanted to share because, you know, one of the things you mentioned about truth and reconciliation, you know, it's good to learn about the truth, the stories, and to know about the truth. But also to, you know, just saying with the elders, reconciliation, you know, fixing of what was done wrong, right? And by that, everything that has to be meaningful. Meaningful for our elders, which thank you very much for recognizing them. Reconciling for our community, our families, and our nation. So making sure it's, you know, valuable, to show some value. That's what they always say. They always talk about them. And you seen that at the meeting there. What is the first thing they always said when they went in, our elders? One was relationship, two was relationship, and three was relationship. And that's what they would like to see. And again, I just wanted to share a little bit about with the community. I know they would ask me to speak for them anyways, so I just wanted to thank Patty to go up and say that. We'll share a couple of songs we want to share because on both sides is the Squamish and the Quagils. Thank
you. Anyone who would like to come up and share the song with our honorees, please join Dale and Christine.
Just put that Seahawk hat down, you know.
Tried to hide.
Nice try, Brenda.
The first song we're going to share is a Snowbird song, and one, we're gonna do the Aria, the Flight of the Thunderbird. The shorter version. We can go on that song anyway. Versus the Snowbird. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
I need a microphone. You don't need a mic, but you need a mic.
I was wondering who's
You have outdone yourself with the doodles today, Ted.
Not much talking.
Brian would get more into the patterns than you do.
Well, I can't.
Wasey's going to speak.
And I know as you take notes, I just.
Specia?
Hosiam echt neue men heute ans Tuesia Spakwas. Hasquals to stays. Heute chet siam. Heute gehoten behem. And heute It's a beautiful day today, and I'd like to thank the Creator for this beautiful day. I'd like to thank our Mayor, Patricia, and the Council of the Day for honoring my mom and my uncle and my auntie and Tor. It's great to see them being honored here today. And I'd like to thank everyone that is here to witness what was going to take place here today. You know, I remember when Tor was doing the Eagle Watch, counting the eagles, and my brother Cholacton and Howe Sound Secondary, they carved a piece, and so they carved it what they now call Eagle Watch. That was through Meg Fellows and the rest of the crew, the conservation. And anyways, we were honoring it, and we were up on the dike while they were unveiling it. And my uncle goes, "Do you know why the eagles come to Squamish?" So why do the eagles come to Squamish? Anyone? They come to see Thor. They come to Squamish just so they can get counted. That's what Uncle Bob says, and I'll never forget it. I will always use that. And I remember in 1996, we did the welcome figure at Howe Sound Secondary, the principal of the day. You know, my brother, again, Cholacton, he's well known all over the lower mainland, and he does carvings for all of these schools. So when I was the director of education, I says, you know what, this is what I want for Howe Sound Secondary. So I met the principal of the day, and she kept, She wouldn't give me an answer. She wouldn't give me a yes. She wouldn't give me a no. I did that for 2 years. And then she left, and then we had a new principal come in, and I goes, yes, I got someone to work on. Someone new. And her name was Marg Pelot. So we had Constance Roca as our school board trustee. We had Marg Pelot, the principal. We had my staff, our cultural staff, which was Bacolton and Cholacton. They were there along with Ray Kopelk back in the day. And then we told them, this is our vision, this is our dream, this is what we want. And we wanted the two-headed sea serpent. Guess what? The very next day, the log was delivered at House on Secondary. And the beauty of it wasn't just Squamish Nations that were carving it, and that wasn't just First Nations carving it, it was the school, it was the community. We had 3 classes. And every time when we do the protocol, and we would always invite the elders, and they were always there. I always remember back in the day when I first started doing the talking circles with the elders, and I remember Shirley would come and she'd drop them off at the old totem hall. And then the elders would be sitting in a corner of the totem hall, they're like hiding. And then I says, you guys supposed to be in the circle. I says, you go get your grandma, you go get your grandpa, you go get your uncle. And I got them. The kids got there and they went and grabbed them and they put them in the circle. And so it was an honor for them to be there because we all know these 3. They are the encyclopedias. They are the dictionaries of our community. They've been there, they've done that, and they show us, and they continue to show us. Like I say, I'm glad to see my 2 kids here, Dominique, or I should say, Swalekton and Sowesia, for being here to honoring her grandma and her uncle and her auntie. So with that, again, I just want to thank you all for being here today and to be part of honoring Ma, Uncle Bob, and Auntie Shirley. Who's the Hochten Squan, Echt Neue Mitchell stays.
I just want to give council an opportunity to reflect on these honorees as well. Maybe I'll start at that end. Councillor Pryor.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've lived in Squamish 35 years, and so I have lots of friends from the Squamish Nation, and 7 years on council, and then a couple of years ago, the elders came in and had a chat with us on council, and I have to say it changed the way I think about things. And I mean, I always held a lot of respect, but it just changed the way I felt about things as far as reconciliation goes. And so I was really happy to have that happen to me. And I praise the work that you're doing, and I see how far-reaching it's become. And just to Dale's point on the play school, my kids went to that play school, and my wife yesterday just went and got the paperwork for the granddaughter to go there too. So I'm really happy about that as well. So thank you very much for changing that for me.
Thank you, Councillor Pryor. Councillor Race.
Thank you, and I'll be brief. I just want to thank you actually for your contributions to our community. I know that would be very, very difficult, I'm sure, and take a lot of courage. But I think the result of that will be what we're looking for, which is a much stronger relationship between our community and the Squamish Nation, part of the greater community. And thank you very much for doing that.
Sharing is only the beginning of, it was the beginning of your healing journey and the beginning of so many people in the community's education and healing journey. And I have so much respect and appreciation for that in your community. I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done, for the courage to stand up within your community and nationally as well, and going and sharing your story to so many school children who had no idea, and allowing the opportunity for your children and their children to carry on that work. Thank you.
Councillor Elliott.
I first had the opportunity to hear all three of you speak at the Eagle Eye Theater at the community meeting, and that was just after the Truth and Reconciliation report had come out, and it opened my eyes. And then I had the benefit of sitting with you at the library for the reading circle. And I remember being overwhelmed by the task. And I think it was you, Shirley, that said, it took us a while to get here, and it will take us a while to get to a better place. And so what you need to do is every day think of how you move it that much more forward. And so I took that responsibility seriously. It's
Take your time.
It's probably the biggest sense of responsibility I feel taking on the role of mayor, is to see us consistently move this forward as a community. The recognition of the truth, but very much so the piece around reconciliation and finding the ways forward together, that our communities recognize the strength that we have together, that when the nation benefits, we all benefit as a community. I see that future for my children and for all of us as a community. So I thank you for your courage to speak, to answer our questions, which, you know, come from truly a place of ignorance sometimes, just not knowing. And thank you all for being part of that and showing us a way forward. And I look forward to carrying that with me over the next 4 years and beyond. So thank you.
Yeah, it certainly has been one of the great honors and learning experiences of my time on council, and particularly as mayor, to see firsthand the generosity of spirit, the inclusion that the Squamish Nation has always extended. I see Joyce in the back there, our newly elected councillor. We've got 3 wonderful representatives for the nation on the Nation Council today, and I see a lot of great things to come in the future. We have 2 motions that I'd like council to consider. The first is that we adopt and embrace the United Nations Declarations for the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as a way of framing reconciliation in the District of Squamish. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor Elliott. We had a whole session this afternoon on the UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples, as well as the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Report and Commission. And just as a foundational conversation with newly electeds and existing council to help move this conversation forward, we couldn't be where we are today without the works that you've done. I thank you wholeheartedly. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Secondly, I would like to move that council direct corporate services to establish the Gwen Harry, Bob Baker, Shirley Toman Scholarship in the amount of $1,500 to be provided to the nation annually, and the recipient of which must be a Squamish area resident decided on by the elders of the Squamish Nation or their designate. I'll move that. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Chappelle, who just destroyed $1,000 worth of district. So just speaking to this, actually I should add there's a subsequent piece to this, and that we direct corporate services to increase the existing House Sound secondary school scholarships to $1,500 as well. That's, you moved that part too, right? Just speaking to this, we wanted to embed in something that will go on in perpetuity in your names and recognize the work that you've done. This will be at the discretion of the elders to bestow upon whomever you would like annually from here on. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. I please invite council and council-elect to congratulate our honorees. Well, Peter was going to, and then I forgot to. He didn't, I don't know if he texted me. Oh, well. So, yeah, hopefully you'll stick around for another few minutes. This is the final moments of this term's actual meetings. And I would like to give council an opportunity to reflect on the last 4 years, and then I will say some closing remarks, and then we will have cake. Did you want to say something? Okay, Councillor Pryor. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Well, me reflecting on the last 4 years is not really much after the performance we just had. But I'm happy that today is my last council meeting, and I'm moving on. It's really been a valuable 4 years for myself. I can't say how much gratitude and respect and kind thoughts I have for our staff at the district. Getting to know them over 4 years has just been it's people normally in my life I wouldn't really get to know, I guess, and I've just really enjoyed them so much, and it's made being a councillor all worthwhile. My fellow councillors, we're all in it together, so, I mean, I have fond thoughts for them from time to time. And, I've enjoyed working with them as well. But for me, it's really when I think about it all, it's all boiled down to how just thrilled I have been to really get to know the people and how professional they were, and it's just really been a fabulous 4 years for me. And so to the new council, I'm almost jealous that they get to have what I'm no longer going to have. But I'll find other things to do. So, thank you, and of course to the mayor, Patty. After 20 or so years of being in Chamber of Commerce's and all the way up to where we are now, we all been fighting for the same thing, and we might not see it that way sometimes, but it's been. An honor also having you boss me around for 4 years. And thank you very much for that. Okay?
Well said, Councillor.
Thank you, guys.
Councillor Race.
Thank you, and I am one of the councillors who's now going off into the next term as well. It has been a pleasure serving on council over the last 4 years. I've enjoyed working with my fellow council. We haven't always agreed. We have fought sometimes. I think we all do it for the betterment of our community, and so the proper motives and the end goals, I think, are very similar. I've also enjoyed working with staff. It is actually one of the pleasures of this job, and I think our community is very well served by the staff in this municipal government at all levels. And it's something you don't always hear. Notwithstanding what you might have heard during the election campaign, this last council was actually very productive. It was, I think, accomplished a lot of things in the face of quite significant and unprecedented development pressure, building pressure, and all kinds of pressures that created new challenges for us, which I think we met. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our outgoing mayor, Mayor Heinzman, for all of her service to the community, but particularly for the last 4 years as mayor. I think she did an outstanding job in sometimes trying conditions. I'm sure we weren't always the best behaved, but I commend her for the work she has done or did, either way, on behalf of our community. I would also like to point out to the incoming council, one of the things you should take note of today is the deference that the Squamish Nation treats its elders with. I think that's a good lesson to carry forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Patty. It's been an amazing 7 years, and I have the same deference. I'm amazed by staff. Getting stuff done has not been so easy with this council. It's been challenging over the last 4 years. And I hope that with the new council that you listen to each other, and not just listen to each other, but listen to the public and have all the time in the world for each other, because I think that that is the biggest challenge I've had over the last 4 years is the coalitions. And you can tell by the fact that some of our members are missing today, and it's been a lot of challenging communication over the last 4 years, but we did get a lot done. And I also have great respect for Mayor Heinzman. Over the last 13 years, she's contributed a ton of time and effort into this community and done an amazing job of leadership. Super grateful for her for mentorship over the years as well. And yeah, staff, you guys amaze me. You guys have kept me on track over the years and helped me with all sorts of getting things done. And I super appreciate having such a qualified and amazing amount of people in the district that all have the same values and have shared so much of their talent and resources over the years to make this an amazing place to live. And I hope as we go forward that the amount of development can slow down and realize the pressure that staff feels when we are overdeveloping and having such a massive amount of pressure to just build on this amazing place that we call home. So thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, Susan.
Councillor Elliott.
Well, I get to continue, and I'm really looking forward to that. I've learned so much, not only from our staff, led by a very accomplished CAO, but yeah, the district is full of talented people that make serving as a councillor a real joy. So thank you for that, and I look forward to being able to continue with that. I've learned something from every councillor that I served with over the last 4 years that I want to take forward with me. I think from Councillor Blackman-Wolf, I learned when you should push back and maybe say the uncomfortable thing that no one else wants to say. From Peter Kent, I think, you know, his decency and his commitment to the role. And he always held a high bar for himself, and I appreciate that in him. To Councillor Pryor, you missed this on Saturday night, but I did acknowledge you, and you taught me how to be a councillor with heart. You drove to people's homes. You always picked up the phone. I always pick up my phone because of you when it rings. So thank you for that. I think you epitomize what a municipal councillor should be. I think Doug Race, I look forward to continuing to serve with you, Councillor Race. And it is the thoughtfulness that you put into your decision-making, your ability to stay calm in meetings, and I know I said this on Saturday night, your ability to craft a motion that makes sense on the fly is still something that I strive for and I appreciate, and I really look forward to having your experience on council with me. Councillor Chappelle taught me about what passion looks like and a warrior spirit and not settling for second best and always being an advocate passionately for the things you care about. And I hope I can bring some of that energy to this next council. And Mayor Heinzman for being just an incredible mentor and showing that even when things don't look like there's a way forward, you always seem to find a way forward through your skill as a leader. And those are big shoes to fill, and I look forward to your mentorship over the coming 4 years. You're someone I'll always turn to for advice. Thank you.
I'll just take a moment to reflect on 13 years of public service. Was first elected in late 2005. And I remember as a newly elected councillor, I'd covered council because I was a reporter at the Chief, and so I had a good understanding of council chambers and process. But I really didn't have a good understanding about how to effectively move issues forward. I remember in my first couple months, I would put my hand up and said, I think we should have recycling. I think we need more bike lanes. I think we need to water meter. I think we need to this. And council would look at me and say, thank you very much, and move on. I didn't know how to lay the foundation of policy to help drive and move the agenda forward, both in the community, with council, and with staff. About a year into my term, I was at a conference and I was chatting with someone about how to do this effectively. And I came up with and this is a bit of a message for the new councillors. I came up with the 12-step climate action pledge. It's not a sophisticated piece it was long. It was probably the longest motion council's ever dealt with. But it essentially laid the foundation of where I thought, I'm just trying to pull it up, where I thought we needed to go. Certainly climate change was a reason why I ran, and was a compelling theme for me. So in the 12-step pledge, I essentially started to list all the different initiatives I was hoping to move forward. It speaks to preservation of open space, smart growth, compact communities, walkable, bikeable communities. It speaks to reduction targets and an action plan to deal with climate change and global warming. It speaks to bike trails and commute trip reduction times, and these are specifically in all 12. It speaks to renewable energy, solar, wind, geothermal, run-of-river, waste to energy, methane recovery from our sewage and landfill. We're moving forward on all these things. It speaks to water metering and building better buildings and LEED standards and a variety of other new systems in building practices. It speaks to just something as simple as Energy Star and making sure we have a green fleet. It speaks to retrofitting our existing facilities, whether it's boilers or ice-making machines. There are so many systems within local government that need to be constantly improved upon. It speaks to composting and waste diversion. And we're talking 12 years ago now. We just brought organic waste diversion in the last couple years during this council's term. So it speaks to all those things. And so I remember when we passed this, and it passed unanimously by council, I did a lot of prep work to make sure council was aware of the issues, the global issues, the local issues. So it wasn't something I just threw out in the air. I did a notice of motion, gave council 2 months to digest what was in there, got a lot of public support. So making sure the public is there to advocate for the things you're trying to bring forward on council, I think is really important. And once we passed it, staff actually came up and said, this is great. We now have something that we can now go and bring this Bridging to the Future project forward, or bring back things in the budget that speak to reducing our energy usage and those types of things. So it was just an easy blueprint. So I guess my message to this next council is be strategic in how you go about doing things. Don't throw one-offs out there because you won't get anywhere. You have to get a coalition of people around you. You have to get community support. You need to bring the community forward as you move forward. So those were sort of the learnings of my first term. I was on the SLRD board for nearly 10 years. And certainly that gives you a very regional lens and brings a totally different perspective to this role. It functions as the governing body for all the unincorporated areas that aren't the municipality. And then, of course, the last term as mayor has actually been a bit of a whirlwind. You look at the beginning of this term, and we were very much consumed with WLNG. We were going through the environmental assessment process. We embarked on a quite robust public engagement process to make sure our public had information and the time to comment thoughtfully on the process. Was also very much consumed with negotiating the final sale of the oceanfront lands. And I remember thinking at the time, it was almost too bad that WLNG consumed us so much, because it created divisions within a small cohort of people based on one side or another of WLNG. And I think of if we didn't have that sort of underlying issue right at the beginning of our council term, that immediate division might not have existed on council. Despite disagreement, despite challenges, I mean, every council has challenges, and I look to other places in the province, and we're actually pretty respectful, deliberate group. But I look at what's been accomplished, and I think certainly the biggest accomplishment, besides hiring our CIO, was our OCP. And I saw Sarah here, was one of our staff people that we seconded into this role for several years. And really the OCP, our official community plan, is, I think, upheld as is sort of a landmark document, and how other communities will try to actually create OCPs in the future. I think we've really created a best-in-class document. It has benchmarks in there, it has goals, it has actions. It's very comprehensive. Is it perfect? No, it will never be perfect. But it is really quite a remarkable document. I'm going to list, so one of the things that I learned when I first got into council, I remember my first budget. Sorry, I'm going on. This is my last moment with the microphone. I remember going over the first budget, and we literally would get a spreadsheet with every item. And year one would be what we're considering the budget. And we actually approve a 5-year financial plan, not a 1-year financial plan. Legislatively, we approve a 5-year financial plan. Year 2 was adding 2% onto year 1. Year 3 was adding 2% onto there was no thoughtfulness. There was no strategic planning. There was no financial planning out into the future. I remember saying, aren't we going to discuss year 2, and year 3, and year 4, and year 5? And it was like, no, we just add a little percentage on, and next year we'll figure out what we're going to do. We didn't have the foundational, and I'm going to use that word because council bugs me all the time. I use vernacular and foundational all the time, but we didn't have those foundational documents that really charted our course. And I want to give credit really to council, but to staff as well. Staff said we need clear work plans so we can strategize and financially plan for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So at the beginning of this term, we knew things were going to get pretty busy with the development side of things, and I'd been on the council term from 2005 to 2008, where we have essentially stopped doing all the policy work because we had a crazy amount of development work, and we just focused on processing development applications. And we let the policy stuff slide. And this council came in, and we were very, very determined to make sure we didn't lose ground on the policy side of things, but actually bring it up to today's standards, even though we were ramping up on the development side of things. So just to list some of the things that staff and council accomplished over the last 4 years. We did our OCP, huge process. We did probably what is the most comprehensive integrated flood hazard management plan in the province, and other jurisdictions now look to that as a foundational document in how they're doing work. We updated our DCC bylaw. We did a water master plan. We did a liquid waste master plan. We did a sanitary sewer master plan. We did a fire rescue master plan. We did an active transportation plan. We have a marine action strategy. We have a digital strategy. We had a housing task force led by Councillor Blackman-Wolf and Councillor Chappelle that had many, many recommendations that we've actioned. We have a wildfire protection plan. We initiated the Squamish Alert Project. We have a real estate and facilities master plan. We're in the process of updating the asset management plan. We redid the building bylaw. We redid the subdivision development bylaw. We did a downtown truck route study, soil and tree bylaws, economic development action plan. We did a children's charter and strategy, food policy, parking strategy. We did a community amenity contribution policy. We adopted the IAP2, which is the International Association of Public Participation, which essentially embeds everything that we do now to make sure the community is as involved as possible in all aspects of what we do. We became carbon neutral in my last year on council, something that we said we were going to do 12 years ago. We did 5 omnibus redos of our zoning bylaw. We did some major projects. We did a major downtown revitalization project along Cleveland Avenue and Winneck Park and the Pavilion Park. We did some major intersection improvements, including Dowwood Drive onto the highway and Depot and Government Road, and the amount of meters of sewer and water pipe that we've put in the last couple of years. Really basic infrastructure pieces that needed to be done. We've done some minor improvements on Brennan Park, and certainly a couple of the passion projects have been working with Helping Hands to deliver Under One Roof, which will be a comprehensive residential project for our hardest to house in our community. And we rezoned district land to provide purpose-built rental, which hopefully will start to help with our affordable housing issues. This is only the beginning of the work that the next council has to do. On top of all this, we're in year 3, going into year 4 of the technological transformation project. And this is essentially taking all of our digital systems in the district and bringing them up to the 21st century, integrating them so we can actually deliver services for the entire community in a real capacity and open way. We have open data portals. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of the things that have been accomplished in the last 4 years, and I'm really, really proud of the work council has done. We've created robust partnerships and collaborations with Vancouver Coastal Health in our rec departments and embedded health into our OCP, and created meaningful partnerships with BC Housing and the Squamish Climate Action Network on food policy. Again, the list goes on and on. We've had unprecedented growth in terms of employment-based business growth. You look at the business park and in downtown Squamish. Is there enough? No, we still have to work on it, but we've had more job creation in Squamish, more square footage of commercial, light industrial real estate developed in the last 4 years than probably the last 15 years combined. I could talk about all the grants that our staff have procured, and I think really the important work that we've done in master planning will set up this council and the next to actually have the work plans and the documentation to actually be successful in grants. The big decisions of the next council are going to be big infrastructure decisions. Many of the land use decisions were done over the last couple of years, but the big infrastructure decisions, how do we improve Brennan Park? What do you do first? How do we finally get MOTI to improve Cleveland Avenue? We've been working on that for 4 years. There's lots and lots of things to continue. We've, again, I credit staff, and I think a number of council members have spoken to how phenomenal our staff are. I was chair of the BC Mayor's Caucus this year, and without a doubt, they all ask me is how do you get such smart, young staff? We have a fantastic staff led by our CIO and our leadership team. We're really lucky to have them. Use them, they're resources to new council, but we're able to attract really fantastic people, and we are seen as a very, very good place to work. And I think everyone appreciates the culture that Linda and her team have created at the district. So I lift my hands to you, Linda, and to Gary and Christine and Robin and Robin, who's pulling her hair out doing the recount. So you've done an amazing job. I too have learned a lot from my council. I think there's always learnings in friction, so, you know, having a council that has some friction is actually not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. When you have friction in the new council, embrace it respectfully and move on. But Ted did bring that sort of grassroots politician sort of idea, and he very much always pushed for better processes. Even today, he's pushing for better building permit processes, and you know, it'll never leave you, Ted. He was our appointee on the ADP, and I think really always took that very seriously and brought back really good information for council to move forward on. Everyone knows Susan's passion abounds, and certainly she has helped move issues, particularly with regard to healthcare and transit and a number of others forward. You need people who are pushing. You also need people to go, we need to prioritize because we can't do everything. And I think this council really had all those elements. Peter, I tasked him with shepherding the digital strategy when he first got elected, and he really took this very, very seriously and took it under his wing and was very dedicated to that role. And as Karen said, he really has an honorability about him that I think is very admirable. Jason is a smart cookie, and his knowledge and passion about housing issues, about planning issues, about affordable housing, and by the way, both Peter and Jason send their regrets. They wish they could be here. They've moved out of the community, but they know their heart is here today, so I just want to honor them as well. But Jason really, he's fearless, and he really helped push us forward in terms of our policies around affordable housing, community many contributions. He really was a driving force there. Doug and I sat in the SLRD board together, and he was critical in our oceanfront negotiation, and his understanding and knowledge of the inner workings of government and land has been truly such an important part. He's been someone I've leaned on for the last couple of years for sure. And I know that he's always going to give me a straightforward opinion, and I value his support and his experience, and thank him very much. And Karen, I've never seen a rookie pick up things so quickly in council chambers. This is a bizarre world that we migrate in, this political realm, and Karen really very quickly understood the role of governance and policy, which really are the foundations of what we do. Really understands that we can't do everything. We have to prioritize, we have to focus, and we have to manage all that fiscally, which isn't always an easy thing to do. She's always been a very passionate advocate for the environment and things like food policy and resiliency, and I know she will bring an abundance of skill to her role as the mayor in the next 4 years. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I've had, not leaving town, although I will be going back to Ontario for a little while to spend some time with family, but I have had a very diverse experience on council. I have been on the UBCM board, the Lower Mainland Local Government Association board, the Municipal Insurance Association board, the Fraser Basin Council board, the Sea to Sky Regional Hospital District board, this chair of the BC Mayor's Caucus. It's one of the most diverse and compellingly interesting jobs you'll ever have. This is, you will get down in the mud on something as basic as potholes. And you will be up at the very high end of comprehensive, complex policy issues and complex negotiations and relationship building. It's really a very fulfilling thing to do, to serve your community, to learn about your community. As mayor, you get to experience your community like no one else does. My opportunities with the Squamish Nation have enriched my life tremendously. I thank you for all that. So with that said, this is our last council meeting. We have one very small in-camera announcement, but I will pass it over to our CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Heinzman. It's a little awkward to have the last word after the mayor. It's tradition when a mayor steps down that the municipality gift the gavel that the mayor's used for the last 4 years. So it's here. When I first became CAO 3 years ago, one of the first public things I did with the mayor was attend a volunteer appreciation night. And she roped me into singing a duet, which at the time was a huge stretch for me. So I've taken a page from that.
Oh, God.
And I'm not going to sing, but I am going to recite a brief poem, if you'll bear with me.
Oh, nice.
So Mayor Heinzman, elected initially in 2005, you've committed to Squamish to ensure that we thrived. For those who are counting, that's 13 years of passion, hard work, and open ears. The policy and bylaw you shepherded through, a testament to your values. I'll name just a few. The environment is one right from the start. You stood for what is at Squamish's heart. Engagement, collaboration, transparency, a must. The bureaucracy, well, you weren't so fussed. Open door gatherings, breakfast with the mayor, try to bake better mini muffins if you dare. Transit, communication, housing, and art, everyone matters from youth to the young at heart. Perhaps most compelling, your work with Squamish First Nation, your leadership on our journey toward reconciliation. You've led a community that's a wonderful place to live, and for that, Patty, Squamish is so appreciative.
That was great.
So Karen, you see that either you have to have sing some music, you violin word, ukulele, a little spoken word is
Right.
helpful. A little, I think, some art and just draw
I might have to go with
motions out.
performance art or something.
Anyway, it's been an honor. We have one very small in-camera thing, so I'm going to entertain a motion. I know it's kind of weird that our last thing is an in-camera thing. It'll be 2 minutes. A motion to close, but we're going to recess, have some cake, and then I will drag council into a room to deliberate for 30 seconds. And then we'll be done. So motion to close. Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Pryor. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.